And we're live. Hey, folks, it is the first Sunday of the month, and the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast goes live every first Sunday for straight talk Q&A session. That's right. You've got questions, I've got answers. I mean, if you ever wondered what it's really like to live in Costa Rica, hey, the ups, the downs, and the hidden realities, well, right here, you'll find honest answers. Hey, I cover everything from daily life, culture, the cost of living, to the challenges most people will not talk about. Hey, bring your questions, your curiosity, maybe even your doubts, okay? Hey, this isn't a sales pitch. I've got nothing to sell you. All right. So, not trying to talk you into Costa Rica. I might probably talk you out of it. But one thing is for sure, you'll get the whole truth about making a life in Costa Rica. So, welcome to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. It's the only channel not trying to sell you Costa Rica, so you can buy more of my product and services. Don't have anything to sell. So today, if you've got questions, you need to go ahead and start putting them in the chat box right now. So before you even put the questions in there, I'm going to ask you the very first question. Hey, for those folks that are in Costa Rica, what was the first thing that kind of like shocked you, right? I mean, you did not expect that. I mean, what's that one thing that just blew your mind when you came to Costa Rica? Maybe you're not living here yet, but you traveled here and you thought, dang, that seems weird, right? What is those things? What's that weird thing? What's that thing that you like, did not expect that? From all of the research I did, that one caught me off guard. So, hey, folks, welcome, everybody. There's Esquire Eduardo Diaz, same guy. JG, make sure you contact me, JG. There's a link at the bottom of every YouTube video where you can join my subscriber list, get some emails from me immediately. Whenever you get an email, you can reply back and you can ask me some questions. Better yet, I don't have anything to sell, but if you want to support this channel, you can support the channel in a couple of ways. You can join our members-only community where, hey, you have direct access. You can ask questions all the time, get answers right away. Or you could actually schedule a phone consultation if you're serious about, hey, I want to go to Costa Rica, but man, before I spend all that money, hey, in the link in the description, you can find a link for a phone consultation, okay? Hey, I'm not trying to pitch you, not trying to sell you, because everything I do on this channel is free. However, if you want to support the channel and help us, encourage us to continue to give out great information, well, then we can certainly do that. All right, so, hey, I'm taking a look through here. Welcome, Doug from Northern Alberta, Canada. Hey, William Johnson, the drivers. Wow! When I said, what is the thing that shocked you the most? William says the drivers. Absolutely. I don't know. Some people, I've never even heard anyone talk about it. The people in Costa Rica, I don't know if they're not scared to die or if they just ain't got any sense, because they will pass you going up a hill around a curve, and it's like they don't care. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, William. Man, the drivers blew me out the water, man. I was like, I'm talking about, dude, if you want to put your life in danger, do that, but don't put my life in danger. Yep, that was something that did shock me. Matter of fact, Randy White says the exact same thing. He's like, dude, he says the traffic, and in 2017, all of the honking. I told my friend I could solve the traffic problem with louder horns. Man, and look, talking about traffic at nighttime, man, don't drive at night. These people, anywhere in the world, I think, I've been in a lot of places. If you're driving down the street and you think someone's got their brights on, you just give them a friendly flicker, right? And if they don't have their brights on, they'll flicker at you, to let you know, okay, look, my brights aren't on. And if their brights are on, they'll turn them off. Costa Rica, you can have your brights on and you can flicker, you can flash, and they just, they'll try to blind you, man. It's like, okay, we got two blind people going to run head on. So don't drive at night. Hey, welcome, Uncle Chico. I greatly appreciate Uncle Chico. Uncle Chico, he helps support the channel a lot, and he just clicks that $ sign that's down there in the chat box. You can click that $ sign, And Uncle Chico, he's so nice. One time he gave me $1 million. Then he called me and said, oh, that was a mistake. No, I'm just teasing. All right. Hey, we greatly appreciate all of you. Hey, Esquire says, we weren't here 2 weeks before we saw a car and a motorcycle going the wrong way on Route 27 freeway. Hey, look, it is amazing to me, the things that happen. It will blow your mind. You know what? Here's something that really shocked me. Okay, and look, I'm just going to call it what it is. You're a fool when you're going down the middle of the highway and you're doing a wheelie. You're a fool, man. I mean, you got no brain whatsoever. But, man, I mean, you see a motorcycle, and he's seeing how far he can go down the highway. I'm talking about traffic going both ways. I mean, just one accident, and he'll be just, he would die immediately. But, hey, there's a lot of idiots, man. They see how far they can do a wheelie in the middle of town. Blows me away. Oh, man, JR says, having animals occupying the entire street. Well, look, not just animals. Are you talking about, like, livestock? Or are you talking about people? Look, so, I understand. The Ticos, they got to walk up and down the street, but they don't even try to stay on the side, some of them. Now, some of them do, but man, they be 2 and 3 walking shoulder to shoulder down the highway. And what's bad is they don't realize, they're not thinking. They wearing dark colors. It's nighttime. They don't have flashlights, A few of them do, but it blows my mind. It's like they're not scared to die. There's a lot of things that just kind of blows me away. Wow. Eduardo Ed Diaz says his first time here, he went to a Chinese Pulperia grocery store. They charged him 2,500 colones, but his Tico friend right behind him got the same thing, and it was only 500 colones. He told him, give me my money back. Look, the gringo price. That's something that shocks a lot of people. The gringo price, man. Yeah. Jeff, when I asked, are we talking about animals or people or livestock or people? He said, both. You're right. It's amazing. Look, I have been driving down the street at nighttime, come around a curve, and the kids will be laying in the street, right? Their feet are hanging off the street, but they're laying in the street, and they're on their phone, Oh, man, that stuff is scary. Man, it blows me away, some of the things. But, it's so, the moral of this story is you have to understand that Costa Rica is a very, very different culture. So, hey, I'm not talking bad about them. I'm just giving you facts, man. These are some of the facts, the things that happen. JG says it surprised him that it was cold at night. Yeah, look, at my place right here, I wake up this morning. This morning I woke up, it was 59 degrees. For those people that's familiar in Celsius, that's 15 degrees Celsius. 15 degrees Celsius when I woke up this morning. Dang, 59 degrees. That's chilly. So, when I came to Costa Rica, I've traveled on a lot of places. So for me, that really wasn't much of a culture shock. Because, I've been to Hawaii, I've been to Japan, I've been to Guam, I've been to a lot of places. But there are, when you come to Costa Rica, it's very, very different. So don't be surprised. You could go into culture shock, and it just kind of, it's so chaotic, some things. Sometimes it's so messy. You can't find salt. You can't find, because even in the grocery stores, I owned a grocery store, and I worked in the grocery business since I was 12 years old. And, everything has a place, man. The salt is right there with the seasoning, the flour, the sugar, all that stuff, stuff kind of was in categories, not in Costa Rica, man. It's wherever you can find a place to put it on the shelf. So, you just got to be very careful. William says it surprised him about the dirt floors and no ceilings. Freaks me out. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it, but there's a lot of Ticos that still have dirt floors. And, the majority of them, I say in majority, that's in the rural area. They don't have ceilings, and they got a tin roof, and that's it. And that's because, a lot of them the government does have a program to help poor people. And if they have a piece of property, right, then the government will give them a house. Now, that house is really pretty much four walls and a slab, but there'll be no ceiling. There'll be a tin roof, be no electrical, no water. So they give you something to live in, get out of the weather, but you got to finish up the electrical. You got to finish up the plumbing, okay, and a ceiling if you want a ceiling, okay. But you will have windows and doors, but it'll be a basic house. You're definitely not living in no 4-star hotel, okay. Esquire says, the wife said it was cold yesterday. When I checked the temperature, it was 78 degrees. Y'all must be coming from a place where it's hot. Now, 78 is cold if you're living on the beach. Hey, Randy, you're right, Randy. Randy says that in some places, they believe in witches and curses in some area. I was talking to someone the other day about that. It's funny. And so you go to a lot of places, and it's named Bruja. Well, Bruja is really a warlock or a witch, okay? So you're absolutely right. There's still a lot of, Costa Rica can kind of be backwards in a lot of ways. But, hey, I guess it's like a lot of places, especially third world countries, or less developed countries. They have a lot of, like anywhere, old wives' tales and all kind of different things, and that gets passed down from generation to generation, Eduardo Diaz says at one time he went to the airport and the taxi wanted $80 from him, okay? And that's not uncommon, okay? Not uncommon at all. Never take a taxi, take an Uber. But he said he tried to take $80 from him. I told him no. I said, no, gringo, yo, de Cuban. He's a Cuban. So Eduardo's a Cuban. And so anyway, he got pissed, gave him 10,000 clones, and I guess walked out. But look, the taxi drivers will really mess you over. Wow. JR says he witnessed this. He said he was on a bus from Tama to Hucas, and the bus driver charged some gringos that got on 5,000 clones each for 1,000 clone ride. I looked at him and he just smiled at me. It's a shame, but it really is a shame, but it happens a lot in Costa Rica. Ticos, I got a real close Tico friend. Listen to this, because you're going to be shocked. But I got a really close Tico friend, and he once told me, he says, Alan, he says, because I asked him straight out, I says, what do Ticos think about the foreigners that come live in Costa Rica? And he says, most Ticos, he thinks gringos are the stupidest creatures in the world. And I says, well, why is that? He says, it's so dang easy to cheat you, steal your money, and you don't even say nothing about it. They'll overcharge you left and right, and you won't even question it. And that is the truth. So it's shocking. It really is. So you don't be scared to question. Hey, Uncle Chico asked a good question. He says, I have a friend who asked me about finding a wife in Costa Rica, and I didn't know what to say. And my question is, are there companies in Costa Rica that help you find love? And is this a thing in Costa Rica? All right, Uncle Chico, I know what you're talking about. It's very common in a lot of countries, I can't say a lot of countries, but I know of several, and I know the Philippines. Philippines is very big, and there's dating sites, there's actual companies that you can pay them, you can join them as a member, and they'll help you find love in the Philippines, other countries. It seems like, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive that I saw that there was, you would have to do some searching on Google, and I was doing some research, and it seems like when I was searching, and I was doing some research, and it seems like I did find a website or an outfit that did help you find love in Costa Rica. Now, it's not something that's real common, okay? But I'm almost certain. I could be wrong. And it makes me want to go. And Uncle Chico goes on to say, he thought he was joking, but he was real about finding love in Costa Rica. Hey, look, what I would advise Uncle Chico, tell him, don't try to find love in Costa Rica. If you find a company like that, most of the time, and look, I know I've been around and I've got a lot of friends, and they're just like, it's hard to find a good Tica wife in Costa Rica. Okay, now maybe for a Tica, different story. But if you are a gringo, well, you're going to get a Tica that all she's concerned about is the money. And I tell you what, if you get married to a Tica here, or let's say even if you don't get married, you shack up with a woman, you get her pregnant and you have a baby, she can stop you from going back to the United States unless you give her some big, big money to take care of her and that baby. And look, the government will support her because you can't go out. You got a baby here, and they're going to make sure that you take care of that baby. So guess what? You get shacked up, you get someone pregnant, man, you can say goodbye to the rest of your family. You could be stuck in Costa Rica for the rest of your life. William says, hey, he's 6'2", so he's tall dude, which is a lot taller than most any of the Ticas here. And you try sitting on a bus or in some of the taxis, look, you try finding clothes for somebody that's 6'2". You have to understand that, hey, the majority of people are not tall, so finding clothes is tough. Yeah, I agree with you. Uncle Chico, William says, hey, run, Chico, run. Run, Forrest, run. Tell your friend, run. And Esquire says, I have seen a couple of those advertising about what you're asking, Uncle Chico. But you certainly do not want to find a divorce in Costa Rica. So not quite sure what he means by finding a divorce. I thought for sure he was going to say you certainly don't want to try to find a woman in Costa Rica. But man, I would just be careful, Uncle Chico. I would advise him to find another country. Prince says, no woman, no cry. Well, yeah, you kind of a point, but sure can be born by yourself. But if you got your old faithful Rottweiler there, I guess that's good enough. But, a lot of times you can have a whole lot of peace without a woman. But with the right woman, well, life just don't get no better. I love to share life with an amazing woman. And I see William, I know a little bit about William's story because he shared a little bit of it. He's been here a while. He says he loves his wife, and he's very, very lucky. Some get taken, and the women seem so sincere. Look, absolutely. I mean, whenever you start dating one, they seem so sincere, and they can put on a beautiful mask for a long time. But as soon as you get married, no more bait on that hook. You're in trouble. So you got to be careful. Now, okay, so Esquire, he kind of talks, he elaborates a little bit. He says you can find love in Costa Rica, but if you end up in divorce court, you'll be lucky to come out with the clothes you have on. You're absolutely right, especially if you're a gringo. Now, if you're a Tico, you'll be all right. But for a gringo, yeah, she gonna get the farm, the whole farm. Now, Eduardo, he married a Tica, but he said he met his wife at South Miami Beach, and he had a soccer T-shirt on. She fell in love with him right then and there. She told me Purta Vida, and I saw those legs, and I told her, hey, beautiful Purta Vida. That was way back in 1995. You go, Eduardo. Woo! Chasing women with long legs. And JR is right. For the right price, you can get almost anything. No, not almost. You can get anything. In Costa Rica, you can get whatever you want. It's funny as heck. All right, ZZ says, is that a fast track? Is there, I think what he's asking is there a fast track to residency? Well, there is. The fast track to residency. If you want the best residency attorney, you need to check the link in the description below, okay? It's going to be the only one that's going to treat you right, okay? All the others will cheat you right. And I mean cheat you big time. So you need to check out my recommended attorney. It's the only attorney that I know that has done, and she's doing my residency right now. And if things go well, I'll have my residency in under 9 months, okay? Or about, therefore. You never know sometimes. But the best residency to get, or the fastest, is to be a pensionado, okay? Now, if you're serious about being a pensionado and doing residency, it's going to be well worth your money to schedule a 1-hour phone consultation with me so that I can give you some inside scoop that I can't just say live, okay? So you really, if you want to save money, you want to call me and talk privately so I can tell you what you need to do before you even talk to your attorney, okay? So, and it'll save you thousands upon thousands of dollars, okay? So, hey, just check the link in the description below. Not trying to sell you, I'm just trying to prepare you. JG says he's looking to buy a new car. Any scams I should be aware of? Absolutely. So when you do get ready to buy a car, here's what you need to do, okay? Whoever has the car, if they let you test drive it, they'll probably be with you. Let them know ahead of time, hey, I'm taking this car over to the gas station. So go to one of these big gas stations, like over in Paris, Zeledon, you got the big, huge Gasotica. You've got the Copra Agri. Anyway, you got big gas stations. They got shops in the back. You know, they do basic stuff like brakes and alignments and all that stuff. Change your oil. Okay. Well, go to one of those shops. Okay. And you bring that car there that you want to look at and have them put it on the lift. Tell them you want them to inspect it. Here's what you want to say. I want you to inspect this because I'm getting ready to go get the inspection sticker, the DECRA inspection sticker. They will do 100% inspection on it, and they'll check everything, all right? And as they're checking everything, don't tell them you're buying the thing. Just tell them to inspect it everywhere. You want to know everything that's broken, okay? Anything that's wrong, that DECRA is going to fail your car, okay? Tell them, I want to inspect it, and I want to make sure everything is done. And look, it won't hardly, he might charge you, but every time I take my vehicle there, I tell him, hey, look, I need to get this thing inspected. I need you to inspect everything. And then that way, and then after I get done, if I can afford it, I can decide, okay, I want you to go ahead and fix this, this, and this, but we'll put off on this. That's what I tell them. Because in reality, while I got a little money, I don't have a ton of money. And I tell them, hey, I got to be careful with what I got. So if it's going to cost me $2,000 to fix it, well, I'll spend $500 this week, maybe $500 next month. So that's what you do. If you're going to buy a new car, just make sure you take it and get it inspected, and you normally won't have a problem. Okay. And now William says, hey, you do want to be careful because they will sell you a car they don't even own, and then the owner shows up. So that's a very good point, William. So yes, indeed, make sure you ask to look at the title. Okay, I think it's called Tilio in Costa Rica. Look at the title, and then the guy that's trying to sell it, look at his ID and see if these two match. Okay, and if he says, oh, I couldn't put it in my name, that's my son or that's my wife. No. Make sure. And then when you go to an attorney, and you make sure everything lines up. Esquire says the attorney just told me that immigration is backed up from 2021. I think immigration is always backed up because it always takes a long time. Let me tell you, this is the honest truth. If you have a Tico attorney, well, you have to understand he's Pura Vida, and everything's backed up. And look, you got to be a squeaky wheel. Hey, what's happening with my residency? What's happening? If you don't call him all the time, it will never get done. It'll eventually get done, but it might be 2 years before it gets done. Because guess what? If he's a TICO attorney, he don't care. He's not looking and he's not following up. Okay. Now, if you have my recommended attorney, guess what? It's going to get done. 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 So it all boils down to whether you want to spend the money or not. Okay. Esquire says they got 15,000 applications. That wouldn't surprise me, because TICOs, they don't have a spirit of excellence. They go to work, and if they're supposed to be there at 8, they might show up at 9. If they're supposed to get off at 5, they might leave at 4:30, and then they're not going to do hardly. They're not ever in a hurry. Whatever you do, don't piss them off, because if you piss them off, your file will drop to the bottom. Now, JR says, I know someone had a baby with TICO, married and applied for residency. One of the easiest ways to actually get residency is to have a baby. If you want to have a baby in Costa Rica, and it don't even have to be with a TICO. Okay, let's say you and your girlfriend, or you and your wife from the United States come down here, and you're still tourists, but you live here, right? You just stamp out every 180 days. Well, guess what? Your wife gets pregnant, your girlfriend gets pregnant. If you have that baby in Costa Rica, that baby is a bona fide TICO, and he's got dual citizenship. So if you have a baby in Costa Rica, that is your fastest route to residency in Costa Rica. But, if you're like ZZ and you're 74 years old, you might not be ready to start a family. But that is the quickest route to residency. Now, when you go to a dealer in a new car, and look, this is just my opinion, okay? If I had the money and I was going to buy a car in Costa Rica, I would buy a brand new car, a brand spanking new car. And here's why. Okay. When you buy a used car, I always say, go to San Jose to buy a used car. Because if you go to San Jose to buy a used car, odds are that car has probably stayed on blacktop roads. If you come down to Perez Zeledon to buy a used car, that thing is on so many roads and mountains and potholes, and it's beat up. Okay. If you buy a used car, go to San Jose, buy a used car. However, if I had the money, I wouldn't buy a used car in Costa Rica. They cost you a fortune. They could be beat up. And here's what's bad. In the United States, we have been driving forever. Our great-grandpa is teaching us how to drive. Our grandfather is teaching us how to drive. Our dad is teaching us how to drive. There's history and history and history. And so we're taught, do maintenance, check your oil, check your air, check your water, check your brakes. We're taught to do maintenance. You have no idea how many vehicles that look brand new that I see, and as I'm going over the mountain, and those babies, they overheated. TICOs don't understand. They're not taught. You got to check your oil. Yeah, but I got a new car. You got to check your oil. You got to check your water. You got to check that stuff. So I tell you, it blows my mind how many brand new vehicles, and they're probably not brand spanking new. They're probably 2 or 3 years old. But that's what I'm saying is you can go buy a 4 or 5 year old vehicle, and that thing is probably, the motor's almost burnt up because they just don't check the water. They don't check the oil, okay? And so they're not used to that. That's just something that you need to understand. It's a different culture. They're not taught to do maintenance on their vehicle, okay? So it's really, really important to understand that. Now, Esquire shares that he actually bought a new Bronco. Now, did you buy, when you say buy new, did you buy a brand spanking new Bronco? He says he hadn't had any problem since hearing the price. Okay, so, and look, that's my opinion. If I'm guessing Esquire bought a brand new Bronco. And look, if he bought a brand new Bronco, yeah, you buy a brand new Bronco and you know how to take care of it, you probably won't have any problems. So, Esquire, I'd like to know, Now, I think, because he says down here, $54,000 for a car. I could have bought it in Oklahoma City for 38. Yeah, because every car has been brought in, and so there's import fees. So yeah, you're going to pay import fees on that vehicle. So absolutely, you paid a whole lot more than you would in the United States. You paid the import fees, okay? All right, you the man, JG. Okay, absolutely, you're in good hands if when you meet with Christina. Be sure to let her know that I sent you. She'll take really good care. She takes care of all of her people, but when she knows they're coming from me, she really does take really good care because hey, she knows I advertise, okay? And you're either going to get good advertisement or you're going to get bad advertisement. And she really does a great job. She really looks after my folks, okay? Ed Diaz says the best car in Costa Rica is a Geo Tracker. He has a 1992 with only 39,000 miles. That's 40,000 miles on it. And it was it was 37,800 miles as a Tico taxi. Okay, but anyway, so now in my opinion, of course, I wouldn't do it. I have a Galloper, and a Galloper, man, that is a dang good vehicle. But they don't make Gallopers anymore. Now, in my opinion, the best vehicle you can buy in Costa Rica. Okay, Bronco's not bad, but I'm going to buy me a new vehicle one of these days when I get rich. One of my subscribers probably going to die and leave me a big inheritance. Hint. I'm not wishing you to die, but if you die, leave me an inheritance. I need to buy a brand new Land Cruiser, especially where I live at, okay? Now, if you don't live off-road, hey, a Bronco's probably more than adequate. But where I live at, man, I need me a Land Cruiser. So I need something. A Land Cruiser is just, man, they are built tough, right? So, yeah, I can get a Land Cruiser. Jared says, I know someone who has a baby from Antigua. Oh, wait, we talked about that. He married her, applied for residency in March 25th. He got it on August 25th. Woo, that's pretty fast. See, I wonder if I can find somebody who wants to get pregnant. I shouldn't tease like that. I'm just joking. People go nuts. They say, oh, anyway. So, yeah, absolutely. The fastest way to getting residency is having a baby. Hey. All right, we were buffering there for just a moment. But hey, Prince said it. I did. Prince said you can grease some palms. That's right. A little bit more. And you can get your residency a whole lot faster. Absolutely. Matter of fact, if you grease it enough, you don't even have to come up with paperwork. They'll do all the paperwork on their own. Just ask Glenn Teller and his wife, Joanna. That's what they did for Mike. That's right. Mike didn't have to do anything. I know personally because Mike told me. That's right. Michael Allen, on his channel, hey, he didn't pay a single penny because he thought he was going to get this great advertisement from Michael Allen. So guess what? Glenn Teller and Joanna, they did all his residency for free. Mike didn't have to come up with nothing. Not a single penny, not any paperwork. That's right. You grease the right guy, or you grease the right crook, and you can get it a whole lot faster. Oh, that's just free advertising for you, Glenn Teller. No need to give me a thank you. You're welcome. That $4,000, $5,000 I gave you for my residency that you never did in 8 years, you're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with William. Christina is cool. Yep, ZZ says, that's what I was asking. Hey, ZZ, if you want another baby, that's a quick, fastest way. Now, Eduardo brings up a point. He says he's got a great attorney, and tells him don't get residency papers because Caja will rip you off. Okay, so you're right. You're going to pay too much for Caja unless you schedule a phone consultation with me. You schedule a phone consultation with me, I can save you thousands upon thousands of dollars. I can't do nothing, but I have the connections that can help you. And Bill brings up a good point. William says 200,000 miles here means nothing for an $18,000 car. Absolutely. Look, I mean, down here, you're not driving nearly as fast as you are in the United States. You're driving slow. Man, you could put a bunch of miles on a vehicle, and that baby will still keep on running if you're taking care of it. Yeah, Esquire said he bought a brand spanking new Bronco. I'm telling you, somebody's going to leave me an inheritance. I'll tell you what, you don't even have to die. Don't die. I don't want you to die. Just find me a brand new Land Cruiser. I don't care what color it is. You can paint it pink and purple. Okay, I just need a Land Cruiser. I need dependable transportation. Eduardo said, no, he says an Isuzu in Costa Rica is better than a Ford. Now, JG says he's thinking about a Suzuki Jimmy 5-door. 225, a 226, I mean, 2025 and 2026 just to get to his house in the mountains. And look, make sure when you buy a vehicle, get a 4-wheel drive, okay? Don't get one of those supposed automatic 4-wheel drives. That's not a real 4-wheel drive. Get a real 4-wheel drive, one that's got an actual stick. Eduardo says, dang, man, 35 minutes gone already. School's going fast. Man, look, when we're having fun, woo, I love it. Now, you know, this is funny. This is funny. JR says, cars can handle Rio Seco. It can handle a dry river in dry season. But when it turns into Rio Grande in the rainy season, forget about it. Now, look. I have taken my Galloper. I even shared a video one time where, man, I took, because, you know, it is not uncommon if you follow Waze, and, you know, I follow Waze, go all over the place. I'm finding back routes, and it's not uncommon. You'll drive through a couple of rivers, right? Waze don't know that there's not a bridge there. So if you come to a river and Waze says you can go across, well, if I were you, because if it's any time in the rainy season, walk across first to see how deep it is, okay? But if it's in the dry season, you're probably safe. But it wouldn't hurt if you're not familiar with the area to walk across it, because you never know when you get water come through there and washes it out. You got a big old canal or a big old hole. So you do want to be careful. ZZ says he had a 2004 Toyota Highlander Limited, only 97,000 miles on it. Hey, look, that's a good vehicle right there. You know, it would even be worth it to import that if you bought that brand new, but it might be better just to get something here. Brand new Jimmy is around 30,000. You know, you really can get a vehicle. You know, some of the vehicles they got here, you can get a decent price on it. You know, I wouldn't go with an all-wheel drive. That's an automatic all-wheel drive. I wouldn't go with that. It's just not. Well, it's okay if you know you're not going to go up some really rough mountains. Where I live at, I would wear that all-wheel drive out. Okay. Hey, Bill's got a. Bill says, here's a quick way to residency. Just get old Island to adopt you. Hey, I don't know if that would count. Let's see. If I adopt Eduardo as my son, could I get residency real quick? That's a thought. Now, a really good question. He says, isn't Caja based on income? Yes, Caja is based on about 3 factors, okay? So income's the greatest factor, where you live at, and I think your health. But I could be wrong. But anyway, the biggest factor is your income. So if you have the minimum income to qualify for pensionado, which is $1,000, then you know what it's going to cost you per month. Right. If you have the minimum income, but if you're retired and you're getting $4,000 or $5,000, woo, boy, Kaha going to eat you up. You'll end up paying around $600 a month in Kaha if you got about $4,000 or $5,000 a month as your pension. You don't want to make that mistake. You better schedule that phone consultation. Yep, ZZ, you are absolutely right. I got a big old metal roof, and I hadn't got the ceiling in yet. I guess maybe I wanted to be a Tico. No, I don't. But I threw up this building, and I'm just not done yet. I'm still working on it while I live in it. But, yep, that's rain that you hear hitting the tin roof. Now, that's a good question. William says, why don't I see many pig farms here? Back home, there's lots. Chickens here, sure, but not many pigs. You know, I agree with you there. I don't see many pig farms. I do see a few people that instead of pig farms, they'll have pet pigs, okay? So they got pigs running around their yard. They might have 2 or 3 pigs. They look like wild boars. But, hey, once that sucker gets big enough, butcher that thing and eat them. Hey, ZZ said he did buy it new. So if you bought it new, that's worth keeping. All right, so JG brought up a really good point. He says, look, he says a Jimny is a 4-wheel drive. The rental car agency tried to convince him that a RAV4 is 4x4, but it's all-wheel drive. Don't fall for that scam. Absolutely. So these rental agencies, they're going to try to convince you, oh, all-wheel drive, it's the same thing as 4-wheel drive. It's 4-wheel drive. No, it's not 4-wheel drive. So that's something you do need to be aware of, because they're going to tell you what they want you to hear because they just want to rent it to you. Now, Esquire says Kaha most of the time is cheaper than Part B in the U.S., okay? A wife and I pay $178 each for Part B, okay? I'm not sure what Part B is, but I know that, matter of fact, I had a client that he was getting about $5,000, and he stated, you know, how much income, $5,000. That dude was paying over $600 a month in Kaha. So you got to be careful. Now, Robin Lahr says there's a lot of pigs amongst the local communities, but you probably just don't see it. Most people don't see it. I've yet to see a big pig farm. I've seen, I saw one place, guy had some pigs, but it was only 4 or 5 pigs. Wasn't a pig farm, okay? But yeah, you know, there's a lot of things that we just don't see. Look, I know a guy has a little bitty tiny yard, and he's got a cow back there. He's got some chickens, and he has a goat back there. And, you know, that guy goes on his motorbike. He goes, cuts all the grass, and he brings it. So can you imagine your next door neighbor having a nasty, smelly cow in his yard? But he can make money, and that's why he's doing it. And you can do that in Costa Rica. Pamela Till says, hey, Alan, that rain sounds so nice. You know what? It's not bad as long as it ain't raining hard. You know, but Pam, it's good to see you. How are you and Thomas doing? Man, I can't wait for you guys to head on back this way. Esquire says, Part B covers the doctor's office visit only, okay? So now, you know what? A lot of people, here's what some people do. It's not very common, but you know, some people, if they got a pensionata, let's say they have $1,000 and they're not paying that much in pensionata Kaha, some people will buy supplemental insurance, okay? So you got to be careful when searching for supplemental insurance, okay? But if you buy a reputable company with supplemental insurance, that will help you in the event you don't want to go to the clinics and you want to go to a private doctor. Even private doctors are really not that expensive. And see, now Prince says that $178 is usually the automatic rate for Medicare coverage in the United States. Okay. ZZ says he pays $187 a month on $920 here in Social Security. Now, so ZZ, what you want to do, you got to make sure you got to have at least $1,000, okay, total. Now, it can be $920 in Social Security. Maybe you're getting $130 in disability, but whatever, you've got to have a total, at least a total of $1,000 before you can get pensionado residency in Costa Rica. Pamela says, when we were farming, we were always just say that manure was just simply the smell of money. Well, I tell you what, I can understand that, but if I'm living next door to a Tico, the smell of his manure ain't making me no money. So I'd much rather CYE, control my environment. I don't want my neighbor's cows and pooping on my land because I ain't making no money off of him. Yeah, Pamela says, we hope we're going to be back soon. We're missing good friends and good food. Woo, I know what you're talking about. Now, I don't know about the good food part. You're going to have to go to someone's house. Like, if you come to my house, I can cook you some good food, okay? But it's hard to find good food unless you go to, some certain restaurants. Hey, Prince has got a good question. Where can I find out what CAHA covers? I think you're the first person that ever asked me that. I don't know what all CAHA covers. But you know what? I bet you, well, I don't know. I was going to say an attorney, but, I have no idea what CAHA covers. That's a good question. You have to check that out. Now, Rob says the guy that owns the Airbnb that we always go to drives a Land Rover. Now, Land Rover, Land Cruiser, I think you can call them cousins, okay? Land Rover, Land Cruiser is just top of the line. Mine, Land Cruiser, when they first built those, they were building those for the military, and they still tough vehicles. But anyway, he says his friend there drives a Land Rover. He said, I could be wrong, but I noticed it's a heat score when a gringo is driving from the transistor. You're saying that maybe the transistor has an eye on it? Not sure. Not sure. Now, Esquire, he says, I always heard that the smell of money was manure and politics. And guess what? I think they both fall in the same category. They're both full of crap. Hey, ZZ says, I want to live up country. So are you saying you want to live uptown where the money's at, or you want to live in the mountains? If you live in the mountains, man, you can have some really awesome weather, okay? So the mountains are just an awesome place. ZZ says, I don't think I'd qualify for pensionado, but maybe the next one where you have to have $67,000 or $2,500 a month for 2 years. I think I could get that together. And so anyway, when you talk to Christina, she can give you the scoop on all of that. Okay, so that whole rentista, and that's the next category, the rentista. That whole having $60,000 in the bank or $2,500 a month. The reality is that money can't be from work. It has to be coming from like stocks, or it has to be coming. So, and some residency lawyers will lie to you and say, oh yeah, just show that you got, $60,000 in the bank. Well, all that changed. Those laws changed. So you better make sure you talk to somebody that knows their stuff. Yeah, ZZ says, I want to be in the mountains. And I tell you what, if you want to live in the mountains, you can really find some cheap property if you do your due diligence. If you knock on doors, you can find some really great places in the mountains and for some fun, great prices. But make sure that you have a Tico do most of the research for you. Now, I've got a good Tico friend. That's what he does, as a side hustle. And you can pay him, and you go find several places that you think you like. You contact me. I'll put you in touch with the guy. You might pay $1,000 to $2,000, but I guarantee he'll save you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on the property that you want to buy. Rob clarifies to the traffic cops. He said he had to pay a bribe or they were just taking his plates. And look, traffic cops are bad. They took my plate, and I didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, that's a long story. I've shared it a few times. But hey, now eventually I didn't have to pay the ticket, and I didn't pay a bribe, but they did take my plates, and I had to go through all of the hassle and the pain. I clearly wasn't in the wrong, but it's just, hey, some of the traffic cops, a lot of the traffic cops are just not honest. Now, Eduardo says, talking about mountains, he says, this place in Guanacaste is the best place to buy and retire. And, and I'm sure in his opinion, it is, I've been in that area. It is nice, but it's not real developed. But if you like that, well, then that's great. And there is some phenomenal views there. So there's a lot of really beautiful places all over Costa Rica. When you talk about mountains, and look, if you're willing to go up some of these roads that are just dirt roads and it might take you a while to go, you can find some phenomenal places. Like, I traveled 26 kilometers to my place, okay? So 26 kilometers of some of the roughest dirt roads around. And it takes you, when I first came down here, it took 2 hours to go 26 kilometers. But I tell you what, there's some beautiful views. I mean, there's some drop dead gorgeous mountain views, beautiful places, and the properties you can buy up here are just phenomenal. But if you're willing to drive a piece up the mountain, you can find some unbelievable places. Now, see, William says he has to pay $235 in Caja, plus now 24 when his wife enters the USA, and that crimps his budget a bit. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a pensionata and maybe your pensionata were only about $1,000 and you're having to pay $235, man, that's a kick. That's a chunk out of your check. So there are ways to get that reduced, and, you just got to talk to the right people. And so ZZ says, well, I'd be getting money from the sale of my house. That doesn't qualify for when it comes to the rentista, okay? But hey, if you talk to Christina, she will clarify for you, okay, exactly what you can do. William says, Ed says purple's for crazy people. Well, if I can just get a few more people to verify I'm crazy, I might could draw me a crazy check. I get some crazy money. Now, Zizi says he'd been retired for a while. He'd probably fit right in. Well, you probably will fit right in as long as you don't get in no hurry. But the thing that you need to do is be really, be ready to adapt and overcome. I'll tell you a real quick short story. So I knew this Tika woman who, man, she just talked about, she knew I was a pastor, and she just, how she loved God, go to church, and blah, blah, blah. She's just the biggest Christian in the world. Okay. And guess what? She had this old retired guy, about 80 years old. His name was Thomas, okay, and was renting a small room, a little tiny house for like, I don't know, I say $500 a month, because it was furnished. And he was old, and she had his debit card, was managing his money. She stole every penny out of his thing. So I went down there one time, and he asked me, how can he set up his banking online so he can see his money? I set up his account for him. Wasn't a penny in his account. Not a penny. So Anna is her name, and she is a witch. A witch, okay? So, and poor guy, he ended up having to go back to the United States, broke, and within a few months he died. Okay, and I'm sure he died. I mean, this woman just, look, you got to be careful. I mean, just because they talk Christian talk and talk about how they love God, they love your money more than they love anything. So be careful. So when you come to Costa Rica, you just most definitely take your time, learn the culture. Don't get mad at your neighbors. Your neighbors, they're going to drive you nuts, but you can find a place you can get away from the neighbors. It's a whole lot better. You know, Robin Laura says, I 100% agree, Alan. He says, the views where you at are insane. Now, JR asks, can you opt out of Caja? No such thing. If you, and Costa Rica pushes and pushes. You know, Costa Rica, while they will let you stamp in and out every 180 days, what they really want is they want you to get your residency. And the reason they want you to get your residency is you have no choice in the matter. You will pay Caja. And so the majority of the Ticos that are in Costa Rica, they're probably paying less than $100 in Caja, but they love for gringos to come and get their residency, because then they're going to get 500, 600, 700. They're going to get a lot of money in Caja, unless you book a call with me, and I can save you thousands upon thousands of dollars. So you cannot opt out of Caja. Hey, JG says, you covered so much good ground today. We all need a Land Cruiser. I agree with you. Hey, come this way. That's why I give all this stuff away for free. I'm just hoping somebody's going to buy me a Land Cruiser. Of course, I'm kidding. I know that ain't never going to happen. Hold your breath. So, you know, when you come to Costa Rica, you know, I have been here for over 13 years. I absolutely love it. I've been here since November of 2013. And look, I love living in Costa Rica. I'll be the first one to tell you that for the first 8 years, whew, I don't know how, I bet you every other day I was like, I think I'm going back home. I'm going back to the United States. Go home, gringo! You know, because it is the kind of guy I am. You know, my personality, I'm going to do right. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to get in. I want to get out. But you know what? I'm like, get it. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, even if I lose money doing it. Everything that I am is 100% opposite, 180-degree different than it is in Costa Rica. So I had a hard time adapting to Costa Rica. But once I got on my own property, I just kept telling myself, when I get my own property, when I get to my place, I can control my environment. And when you can control your environment, wow, Costa Rica really can be a paradise, okay? So, hey, while I'm on that topic, make sure that, the best way you can support this channel, if you're not going to send me a Land Cruiser, well, at least like the page, like the video, subscribe, share, after the video is over, comment underneath the video that you had some great information, so the YouTube algorithm will send it out so that other people can get the facts, okay? I like to have a lot of fun. I like to tease, and I like to joke. And I don't take life serious. I do all this stuff for free, and I enjoy living in Costa Rica. I enjoy helping people. And some people say, well, why do you do all that for free? Well, it's kind of like my way of giving back. You know, I've been conned and lost so much money in Costa Rica, and I kind of look at it like this. It's like I lost over $5,000 with Glenn Teller. So if I can advertise for him and help him lose some money, or if I can actually keep people from losing money with Glenn Teller, then I want to do that. I kind of feel like I'm getting my money's worth by advertising for all these crooks, okay? So, hey, that's why I do it. I really don't want you to lose money. So I kind of want to help you learn about life in Costa Rica, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because everybody else tells you all the good stuff so you can buy their product and services. I don't have anything to sell you, and I never will, okay? So, hey, ZZ says, is the visa 180 or 90 days? It's 180 days now. I think it used to be 90 days for a long, long time, but it's 180 now. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about it. 180 days, and you just stamp in and stamp out. But if you come in and you're here for 180 days and you start your residency, then you can have your residency started and you won't have to ever worry about stamping out. Because once the papers are filed, then you won't have to stamp out, and then you'll get approved. Or you'll either deny, but surely you'll get approved. But Eduardo, he don't want to be a pensionado, and I can understand. For some people it's good, for other people it ain't. He just flies in and out, and that way it's really easy. He flies in Sprint Air, he saves money. And see, Eduardo says, man, he says, hey, this is why you're a great Costa Rican school. ZZ says, you always have good info. I've gone back and watched a lot of those odd couple videos you made with Michael. And, yeah, there's lots of good videos. I love sharing good information. I really hate that I ended up helping Michael because he really only did it to try to gain trust from my subscribers. And then he turned around and he screwed me. But he admitted to it. He actually admitted to it live. Him and Sarah, they admitted that, yep, well, Sarah didn't admit it, but Michael admitted it for her, that what they did was wrong. But, hey, some people say, hey, let it go, let it go. Well, I don't let it go because guess what? There's always new people coming all the time. And if I let it go, which I let it go, I mean, it don't bother me none. But if I don't stop telling people about bad people, then guess what? New people come on, and then they end up getting conned by Sarah Elena or conned by Costa Rica immigration experts, and then they're like, why didn't you tell me? Well, see, so I tell you, because there's always good people. Man, I could care less about them people. I'm going on with my life, but you won't con me again. But I like to warn people, be careful who you do business with. All right, I can't believe we are over an hour. So, hey, I've had a great time on today's Q&A. Remember, every Sunday, every first Sunday of the month is Q&A where you can ask your questions. We're going to pick up next Sunday on our building series. So I've been talking for quite a few videos now, talking about building. Next Sunday, we're going to be talking about buildings, and I'm going to have to go look at my notes. Not sure what we're talking about, but we're going to be talking more about building, and I can't wait to find out and share more great, interesting, fun facts about if you want to build in Costa Rica or if you're trying to buy a house in Costa Rica. These are all things you need to know about. So I'll see you next week. Same place, same station at the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. The only place giving you the whole truth about life in Costa Rica. I'll see you.